How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We're back with another preseason FPL video, and it's time. Price reveal time. Part 1, the first batch of 5 teams for the FPL price reveals. We didn't get everything for each team, but we did get a good fair few. Is Haaland's price over my shoulder right? Is it wrong? We shall see. Did Gabriel Jesus get put in the Arsenal batch, who also got revealed, or did he get put in the Man City batch, or maybe neither? And then a couple of other teams that have been recently promoted that could provide some budget assets as well, and maybe some players that if they swap teams could also be interesting as well. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it's readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price reveals to any transfer news and anything in between. And lastly, make sure to give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our FPL is Live Twitch show. We will be going live that evening when FPL does go live, which it seems that they're going to do 5 teams a day. They'll do 5 teams today on Friday at the time of recording, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then maybe unleash FPL upon us on the Tuesday, maybe the Wednesday at a push, but it looks like potentially next week Tuesday, so make sure to have the notification bells on for that as well. So without further ado, let's check out the prices. Alright, let's go through our first batch of price reveals. We got 5 teams for you. It was released every 2 hours, a team was. And it seems like they're going in a bit of a pattern. So they have first place, 5th place, 9th place, 13th place, and 17th place, which is really weird because 5 into 20 is 4 days, which would mean potentially FPL being released on the Tuesday of next week. That's very, very possible. Be around a month or so before the first game kicks off. So they might actually go ahead and do that. We'll have to see. So are we going to get Liverpool tomorrow? Are we going to get, 6th place, 10th place? Are we going to get the same 4 places apart? We will see. Although they didn't release them in that order because the first team up was Arsenal. So we will take a look at them first and see what players they did release. I did do a spreadsheet, if you saw, on our price predictions. We'll do that on the FPL is Live stream. That'll be a part of that. So we will take a look at the prices and see what we think of them so far. So the first player right out the gate, Bukayo Saka, 8 million. I'm pretty sure we predicted him to come in at 7.5, but I think for FPL price, I think he's going to come in at 8. Me personally, I think this is slightly too expensive. I would have liked to see him come in at 7.5, and you'll see why for the rest of the Arsenal team. I think Saka might just be just that bit too expensive, especially if he's not going to be on penalties, because if Gabriel Jesus takes penalties, being the forward who is not fully confirmed yet, but is likely to be moving to Arsenal, assuming no deal breaks down or anything like that. I think 8 million might be just a bit too expensive. Remember, there are 5 subs as well, so Arsenal have a lot of attacking talent. We'll see where Vere is going to set up, potentially as a backup to Odegaard. They signed that a really young Brazilian, I think his name is Marquinhos or something like that. He potentially could be playing out on the wing. You still got the likes of Smith Rowe and Martinelli. So yes, Saka will probably play game in, game out, but maybe he'll get substituted as early as he was getting before. Maybe even slightly earlier, might not play all the games. 8 million. I think it's probably a fair enough price, but I think probably just slightly too expensive for the beginning part, especially when they play Crystal Palace and Leicester in the opening 4. You'd expect Leicester to be better than what they were last season as they start to pick it up towards the end, and then Crystal Palace as well were quite tough, although they have 2 easier fixtures in this first 4. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but initial thoughts is what we're going for on the price point itself. I do think you probably most likely want to have a midfielder in this price bracket because I think that's going to be quite popular of a price point this season. Moving on to Odegaard, 6.5 million. Don't really think he's much of an FPL asset. 6.5 million. Probably not many are going to look at him. He's probably more or less a non-factor, especially with Vieira, who also plays kind of attacking midfield that could potentially take his place. So probably moving on from him. Ramsdale, this is a big one, 5 million. I predicted him to come in at 5 million in terms of what FPL would do. I would have personally set him at 4.5 million, but I think that that's probably a fair enough price. Will I go for Ramsdale? maybe as a set and forget goalkeeper. He's at least an option there. At 4.5, he might have been too good at 4.5, giving Arsenal's fixtures aren't like disastrous or like, you know, very bad in the beginning. They're okay. They're solid. They should be winning and picking up points there. And I think Ramsdale could be a part of that. He did tail off towards the end of the season, but I expect him to make that surge as he wants to be England's #1 come the World Cup. But I think that's a fair price for Ramsdale. I think we wanted him to be at 4.5, but he came in at 5 million. And these are the other 8 players, so we'll kind of quickly run through them. Tierney being 0.5 more than his center-back counterparts. However, Tomiyasu and Ben White are 4.5 million. I don't think this is very good pricing, mainly due to the fact that Arsenal finished 5th last season. If you're going to put their starting right-back and starting center-back at 4.5 million, basically every defender below that, you know, in the league. So all Man United's, like, so Wan-Bissaka should be 4.5 million. You know, you should have maybe Harry Maguire at 4.5 million. Varane maybe at 4.5 million. These are the sorts of things that once you set this precedent, you can potentially get yourself modeled up a little bit. Tierney, I think, being 0.5 more than the defenders makes sense, but Gabriel being 5 million, that to me doesn't make much sense. Just put him at 4.5 million like Ben White if you were going to do that. Me personally, I think I wanted Tierney to be at 5.5. I wanted the fullbacks to be much higher. FPL have gone this way. I figured they would do something like this, and I think it could be a bit of an issue. Although Arsenal are still trying to sign Lisandro Martinez in competition with Man United. Maybe he comes in his 5 million as well if he were to sign for either Arsenal or Man United. And then the attacking options. Martinelli and Smith Rowe, I think fair prices. 6 million could be bargains if they're starting game in, game out. Martinelli more so, who took a penalty at the end of last season, so that's one to keep an eye on. Vieira, if he's starting game in, game out, is much more goal threatening than the likes of Odegaard. Could be very good at 6 million. And then Nketiah at 7 million is just, I mean, he's just a dead FPL asset at this point. This is why I think I put him in at 6 million or 6.5. Maybe gives him a little bit of a chance. This was before Gabriel Jesus was looking to sign as well. Gabriel Jesus could still play on the right-hand side as well, and we'll still wait and see on his positioning. But I think that 7 million for Nketiah is just a complete no-go. Definitely not even in the realms of looking at personally. So that's it for the Arsenal ones. So yeah, that's the players that we got there. So overall, probably the main points to take from Arsenal: Ben White being a cheap enabler, as is Tomiyasu. Martinelli looks potentially, if he's playing game in, game out at 6 million, could be quite good. Nketiah's a no-go basically again, or once again. You know, he was, for that brief period last season, was quite valuable. Ramsdale's potentially an option. Saka looks to be very good, and I think Odegaard's probably not too great, personally. So let's move over to the next match, which is the Premier League champions, which is Manchester City. So we'll just get rid of the Arsenal one there. So let's see what Man City asset is first, and it was the man on the thumbnail. It was Erling Haaland. That was not a fake price. Erling Haaland has come in at 11.5 million. I think you could have put him at 10.5 million. That was me personally. But that was me also lowering the cost of forwards in general. I think 11.5 million from FPL standards, based on the way it seems like the Premier League are going to price these players, this is very cheap. We all expected it 12.5 million. I'd be very curious to see if Ronaldo comes in at that price. If well, Lukaku, he's gone on loan, but is Kane going to come in at that price? Where's Vardy going to be? Because if Ronaldo's 11.5 and Kane's 11.5, you're just going to pick Haaland every day if they all have good fixtures. Pretty much, that's how it's going to work. But I think 11.5 million is fair enough. I think that, you know, I would have personally lowered the forwards altogether. So, like, if I had Haaland at 10.5, I would have put De Bruyne at 11. In this case, with Haaland at 11.5 million, I think it causes a problem with De Bruyne, which we'll see in just a second, where Kevin De Bruyne has come in at 12 million like he did last season. Now, there's going to be almost no players that are going to go for Kevin De Bruyne. They're all going to go for Haaland. Why? Because 0.5 million is so valuable at the beginning of the season. And also Haaland's the new guy in town. He's the goal scorer that just can't stop scoring. De Bruyne will feed him at points. But I think Haaland is going to be out on his lonesome, to be honest. He's not going to be the guy that's going to get subbed very often unless City are absolutely blasting a team. But I think that De Bruyne, again, just seems a bit too expensive. Yes, he will be doing well at points in the season, and I think if it wasn't for his goal flurry at the end of the season where he scored 4 in one game, he got a brace in another, I don't think he would have been this price. I think he would have been 11 million. I think you could have put Haaland at 10.5 million if that was the case. But this is the pricing that FPL is going to. Again, it's not a decision, in my opinion. You're going to pick Haaland. You're not going to pick Kevin De Bruyne. Haaland's also going to be on penalties as well, because he's going to demand them as he is the number 9 and will want to score as many goals as possible in his first season in the Premier League. But to me, I think De Bruyne is probably going to be in very few teams, unless you are doubling up on both of them, in which case you probably forego the likes of a Salah or something like that, in which case, fair enough. That's what you want to go for. Although at the time of recording, Salah just signed a new contract extending to 2025, so he looks to be raring to go and maybe has his mind now focused back on playing football for Liverpool. But we're talking about Man City here, and we've got João Cancelo at 7 million. I think this is too cheap, to be honest. I think 7 million is a bargain for him. I think last season at 6 million, he was way too cheap. I think this season at 7 million, based on what we've seen him do last season, the amount of clean sheets he got, 7 million is too cheap. I think he should be 7.5 alongside probably Robertson's price, who's going to be at 7.5 million. Cancelo should be 7.5 million. He's just as good, if not better, than Robertson, and plays for a team that keeps more clean sheets. So, or as many clean sheets, and is likely to be more attacking than the likes of Robertson. So we will see how that one pans out. Although, at the time of recording, Cucurella, who's rumored to be signing for Man City, would take up that left-hand flank position in the back line, the left back spot, which would move Cancelo over to right back, where he was less productive than what I remember him being at left back. But I'm going to have Cancelo and Haaland with those prices are nailed in. And then here's where a bunch of things get really interesting. Kyle Walker, if he nails down a starting point, a starting place in the team, 5 million could be an absolute bargain. Diaz, 6 million. I'm pretty sure we predicted this for both FPL and my own predictions. Grealish and Bernardo Silva both at 7 million. Those are very interesting. Gundogan 7.5. He's probably not going to be a non-factor. Like, I think Grealish and Bernardo Silva 0.5 extra. They're going to probably start more games than Gundogan. Are probably more important to look at here. Riyad Mahrez getting a price drop down to 8 million as well. He was 9 million last season. I think if he gets a run in the team, 8 million could be a bargain for him. Foden keeping the same price. And Sterling, I believe, got dropped down by either 0.5 or 1 million. But we're mainly looking at his price potentially going to Chelsea. And that would be a very, very good price for Raheem Sterling. And could be like our third premium, as it were, if he were to play over at Chelsea. And would be very, very good indeed. Because we could have him, we could have Haaland, we could have Salah, and we could have basically the three top teams in the Premier League covered with their premium assets doing well. And maybe even Sterling plays false 9, because of the fact that Lukaku, Chelsea literally don't have a proper striker, because Lukaku is going on loan to Inter Milan. So yeah, that was Manchester City. Let's move over to Brentford, who they put up next because they said, are you buzzing about the price changes? So we shall see what the prices are. And there was only a couple really I was interested in here. It was Raya and it was Ivan Toney and maybe Mbomo. But right off the bat, they showed Ivan Toney. 7 million I think is too expensive. I think they should have kept him at 6.5 million. Yes, he's got 12 goals and 5 assists. But again, forwards are just not very effective in the game at the moment. You have to make them more enticing. I think 7 million. If you're saying I'm paying 7 million for Ivan Toney or 7 million for João Cancelo, is it even a question? Am I paying 0.5 more for Robertson, or am I going to get Ivan Toney for 0.5 cheaper? I'm going to get Robertson every day of the week. It's just these sorts of things that you kind of have to look at. You pay 1 million extra. Instead of getting Toney, you can get a Foden or a Riyad Mahrez. These sorts of things you have to weigh up. Although Toney was third highest in expected goal involvement for all forwards last season behind Ronaldo and Kane. So that's in good company. So maybe the 7 million price tag doesn't look to be all that bad. But we shall see how that one pans out. Me personally, probably not looking to him initially because they do have a couple of tough fixtures, one of them being Man United. This was the real good price I like to see. Raya, 4.5 million. He's going to be a lot of rotational goalkeeper lists because the first couple you can cover with a different goalkeeper, and then he has a few good fixtures and you can rotate them back and forward I think Brentford, West Ham, Brighton, Forest, they have a good rotation there in terms of clean sheets. Kanyos was an interesting one. He is now a 5 million defender. Again, Kanyos at 5 million or Ben White at 4.5 million. I think Ben White's going to keep more clean sheets, probably less attacking returns, but again, he's 0.5 million cheaper and is going to be nailed game in, game out. Is Kanyos? I'm not too sure. So, again, that's where I think the pricing is a bit weird on that front. And then the rest of the Brentford players, Mbeumo, one of the key ones here, moved to a forward at 6 million. I think that's a fair price for Mbeumo. Henry, Ayer, Janssen, Pinnock, all 4.5 million. Again, matching what we expected for those prices. Wissa at 5.5 million could be an interesting option. Sometimes played in off the left-hand side and a front three could be quite useful. And then Janelt and Nordgaard, probably not the most useful FPL assets at 5.5 million. Would have liked them to see probably a bit cheaper, but again, they're just going to be non-assets anyway. And then you just look at the defenders up the top. Maybe Rico Henry comes into our thoughts, but again, are you going to play 4.5 million for Rico Henry or 4.5 million for Ben White or Tomiyasu? Probably going to go with the Arsenal player because their team finished fifth. So it's definitely weird for that sort of pricing. But again, that's how FPL's done it. They're set in stone now, unless they do some changes, which they've never done before. We just change the price after the game's gone live, which would be very, very interesting to see. Moving on to Brighton, who was the fourth team to be released. So we have Cucurella. So if Cucurella goes over to Man City, I'd be very interested to see if they increase his price. If Cucurella goes over to Man City and starts game in, game out, 5 million is an absolutely ridiculous price for Cucurella. And this is one to monitor a lot. And I think that if they don't change his price, that could be a big fault on FPL's part. In Brighton's team, 5 million, fair price. In Man City's team, 5 million, playing most of the games, not a fair price. He's going to be in everyone's team. You're going to have him, Cancelo, and Haaland, and you're not going to change. And that's where the decision-making kind of gets worsened if you have something like that happen. Leandro Trossard, 6.5 million. I believe he was around this price over the last couple of seasons, if not last season. He was either 6 or 6.5. But again, probably just a standard budget midfielder, you know, a decent option. Again, playing as a midfielder as well, which is interesting. Having played false nine a couple of games last season. Sanchez, a very good goalkeeper, 4.5 million. Excellent price. We'll be looking at him at the start of the season as well. And then the rest of the options here. So Caicedo, I'll just point out because of like Janelt and can't remember the other midfielder. Just space my mind. But basically, two Brentford midfielders, 5.5. Why can't Caicedo be the same price as them, 5 million? Or even 4.5. McAllister could be 5 million as well. Pascal Gross maybe slightly more just because it's a bit more attacking. But Dunk at 4.5 million. Very interesting price there. He was 5 million last season. Lamptey, 4.5 million. Again, very good price for Lamptey. And then you have the forwards as well. 5.5, 6.5, and 6.5 for Undev, Maupay, and Welbeck respectively. I think Maupay and Welbeck's prices are fine. I think, again, is Tony as good as Maupay and Welbeck? Probably slightly better, but then if that's the case, I'd rather see Maupay and Welbeck at 6 million and Tony at 6.5, just because forwards aren't as effective. Now, what if Undev can come in and do something, you know, extremely good, then we can have, extremely good, that's not even good English, if he can do something, you know, out of this world, then 5.5 million could be a steal on a Brighton team that just needs someone to put the ball in the back of the net, and hopefully he can potentially do that for them. And then last but not least, we have Leeds here. Just close that last one. We have Leeds, and I'd be interested to see what Patrick Bamford's price was, and I was a little bit disappointed to see that it was at 7.5 million. I kind of wanted to see it drop down a little bit. Is Patrick Bamford as good as Ivan Toney? They're probably about equal, so in which case you're probably going to have to you should put Bamford at 7 million, to be honest. Bamford has injury woes as well, which means I thought that he probably deserved a little bit more price reduction. And now that 0.5 million, you're just going to go with Ivan Toney, who seems to be fairly sturdy in terms of his injury record, and Bamford not so much. So if you're going to go for a striker off the start, that was from a team that's been promoted in recent years, then probably go with Ivan Toney here. So I think Bamford's probably not as good of an asset unless he starts firing again. Harrison at 6 million, again, was the same price last season. don't expect too much from him this season unless he were to play out of position up front somehow. Meslier being dropped back down to 4.5 million. He was bumped up to, I believe, 5 million last season, but Leeds' defensive woes will see him go back to his original price. So be interested to see if Leeds can shore up their defense. Could be an interesting price later on in the season. And then the rest of the group. So we have Cooper and Robin Koch, 4.5 million. Those are fine prices. Christensen, I think, is... I'm not sure if he's a new signing or not, but he could be. 5 million. Again, I'm not sure what position he plays, so I'm not as educated on Leeds' signings. But again, they're a team that almost got relegated last season. You should probably put the defenders at 4.5 million, to be honest. Or if he's a fullback, then 5 million is probably fine. That would be my pricing. Roca in midfield, again, don't proclaim to know much about him. Or Aronson, I guess one of them's maybe more of a central midfielder. Aronson maybe more an attacking midfielder. Dan James, same price as Harrison. I think that's probably fine. Rodrigo reclassified to a midfielder. And Gelhardt is a 5.5 million forward. Could be quite valuable next season if he gets more games, because he is very young, and we could see some more productivity out of him. But that's the first batch of the prices. So tomorrow we should potentially, if they go with the same pattern, see Liverpool, who came second place. Man United end up coming 6th. I'm not sure who came 10th. I know that the 18th place team, that would be Fulham. So it would be Man United, Liverpool, Fulham, and then whoever came 10th and 14th. I'm not sure who those teams were. 14th was maybe Villa, I think. 10th place, I don't know off the top of my head. But whoever those teams are, if that's the pattern that we're seeing tomorrow, or maybe we see some of the other teams but they're just going to change them around a bit. We shall wait and see, but looks like Fantasy Premier League is going to get opened up on Tuesday of next week, so make sure to stay locked in, like and subscribe, and follow on all of our platforms, Pilot Flame 226, because we'll be releasing more and more content, and you won't want to miss our preseason analysis videos of each of the teams, which will be coming up in the next few weeks. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Scout members area, the one place that you need to be tuned into for the upcoming FPL season. It has a wide variety of resources and tools that will help improve your FPL game today. It has a bunch of different members-only articles written by some of the best FPL managers across the globe, heat maps for all the players and positions, as well as player comparison tools, which will help you see side by side who is going to be more effective for your FPL team, fully customizable stats tables powered by Opta stats, and much, much more. Use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area today. It'll help improve your FPL game. This video has been sponsored by Manscaped, the best in male below-the-waist grooming. Make sure to check out manscaped.com so you can see the latest and greatest updates to their lawnmower, as well as their performance package, and much, much more for all their gadgets and gizmos to help keep your family jewels looking as shiny as ever. Make sure to use the code FLAME20 so that you can get 20% off your next Manscaped order, as well as free worldwide shipping. Go check out manscaped.com today. And that is going to do it for the first batch of price reveals for the FPL 22-23 preseason. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe channel if you are new and haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price reveals to transfer news and anything in between, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can see when we go live for our FPL is Live show over on Twitch. When FPL does go live, we will be going live, and we will be posting it over on Twitter as well, and putting up notifications to let you all know that we are live, and we're going to be looking at everything. We'll be looking at our spreadsheet as well. As well as make sure to check out Fantasy Football Scout, because they are fantastic. They're partnering us again for this year. They have a brand new members area. So if you saw the advert in the middle of the video, you would have seen the new members area and what it looks like. And they have a whole bunch of other stuff coming, and it's fantastic to look at for all your FPL needs. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.